Okay, welcome, Eric Adelman. Thank you for coming on. We are going to be discussing the topic now of the top four things a business owner has to know and do in order to scale their business. And
Amazing.
yeah, what can you tell us about that, please? I'm all ears.
Okay, so I guess we can go broad and then we'll talk about each one.
Let's do
So
that.
let me give you just a list of where we're going. Number one is to focus on your people. Number two, and these are in no particular order really, they're all important, is to focus on sales. Number three is to find great systems that are going to support the business's growth. And number four is to continue to fail forward and take chances and rack up wins that way. Never be static or complacent.
Got it. So I'm just gonna see if I remember that. So we have people, sales, systems, and something which speaks, I guess, to the entire process, which is fail forward. You're going to be
Fail
trying
forward.
new
You
stuff.
have to take chances in everything you're doing as a business owner.
Got it. Okay, so let's break it down. And the first thing you mentioned was people. What should business owners know about their people before they try to scale?
Sure. So number one, I see this all the time. I work with mainly 10 to 100 person businesses. Very few companies in that stage have a real solid org chart for where they want to go and where they want the business to be. So number one is to figure out what the ideal state of the business is to manage things right now, forgetting about all of the people that you have in place currently. So you don't have to say, well, I have Jim and Sally and David and Mike and Jane.
It usually goes by names, right?
Like people usually do that. They say, okay, Jane fits over here and Dave
Right.
he's over there. I don't know, the Jimmy covers.
And then the emails go to Harry. And what Harry does with the emails is he makes sure that both Sally and John are CC'd in the thread. And that's how we do things in our office.
Exactly. And it really has nothing to do with what's best for the company and best for the business. It really has to do with how things have organically evolved. And that's usually, a group of people that has just become a company. That's a stage that needs to, as the business owner, the founder needs to be able to help the team grow out of that. And part of that is setting up the team for success. So you take, clean slate, really think about the entire organization, what it needs in order to function well, and make a list of that idealized picture. Then you see who you have in the company right now, see how that's going to work. What pieces are missing? Do you need to hire people to fill slots that you don't have anybody to cover, or can you train new existing employees on new skills in order to fill key areas? But thinking very intentionally about the staff that you have and the staff that you need is something that I find that a lot of entrepreneurs let fall by the wayside, and because they're just focusing on organic growth.
Wow, that's fascinating. So when you mentioned people, what you really meant were reorganizing, or at least restructuring, or at least rethinking what the people are doing within the company, and what the company is comprised of people, but not necessarily is your future company going to reflect the way you have things organized right now. And you have to be on top of that.
Yeah, in order to scale a company, you have to be able to go from just having a group of people that were hired organically to fill a need as those needs came up, to creating a system for the entire company to function better. That's better for the group as a whole, and it's also better for each individual employee. They're in a role that's tailor-made to them and that fits exactly where they have the ability to help the company in the biggest possible way. They become part of the scaling process.
Got that. Wow. Okay. So let's move on. So that's the people.
That's the people part. And again, we're doing this in just a few minutes. So there's obviously a lot more you can say about managing your team and creating opportunities for internal growth and internal promotion and making sure that the right people are on the bus and all of that kind of stuff. But we're keeping it kind of high level and focused here on these four things today.
Got it. Okay. So next we have sales, right?
Sales is next. So, there's a great Warren Buffett quote. Any business that's not actively bringing on new customers is going out of business. And I think that's really important to remember. If you just work with a small subset of customers and you're not very, very proactively always looking for new business, it doesn't matter what kind of company you are, then you're slowly going out of business. If you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. So that's a key thing, that every business always has to be focused on sales, period. And I see a lot of the times when I'm talking to clients or potential clients that have, where the founder is not a salesperson at their core, they struggle with this concept because they're a great implementer and they're great at they're the integrator. They're doing the work and they've hired other people to compensate for their lack of time or their lack of skill. But they need to find ways to keep the company focused on actively driving revenue. And finding the right channel for that is obviously that's the big meat and potatoes of the challenge. Of course, it depends. There's no general answer with like, where do I find customers? Like every business is different. But I think it's keeping a focus on sales. That's especially impactful where the founder is not a salesperson.
So in other words, I guess be aware that, we're talking about scaling your company and growing. You're going to have to figure out how to bring on the customers that will sustain that growth.
Yes, there's no way to scale a company without consistently scaling revenues up. There's no money to run the machine. So the sales has to be a main component of the focus for every company in order to be successful.
Right. Okay, got that. So far we have people and we have sales. What do you want to tell us about systems?
So systems, I think a lot of companies that, again, are in the segment of the types of customers that I work with, the clients that I do work for, that 10 to 100 person range, a lot of the times they just do not have good systems that do what they want, that help them make sure that the business is actually able to function, that it's an easily scalable system for a new person to come on who has no exposure to the company, no context, and be able to learn what's going on, in a week or two. That's the sign, that's a good litmus test for whether your company is in a position where you're really like primed to be able to scale well. If a new person can come on and learn your system in a week or two, you're good. If you feel that your company is so unique and so different that nobody could possibly learn all this, it's going to take several months to ramp up. We do everything in such a unique way. That's usually a sign that you don't have the right systems in place. So I've talked to companies before, $5 million in revenue, 25 employees, no systems whatsoever. Everything's managed on Google Sheets. Like that's an extreme example. Mm-hmm. But I think the key component is to be able to identify the software and systems that you're going to need in about 2 years from now. That's what you want to be shooting for.
I would stop you over there and ask you that when you say that people should be able to be onboarded in a week or two, that doesn't necessarily refer to the skills and things that they'll need to get their job done well. You're referring more to the way the company functions, and they should know how things work as a whole, so they'll be able to navigate within the company, and not necessarily.
Exactly. It's not that somebody should be able to learn any job in 2 weeks. It's mm-hmm. that they should be able to learn they should be able to learn the systems that you're employing in order to get your work done and satisfy your customers within a week or two. Mm-hmm. If it's going to take them 6 months to ramp up and they're not going to know what the heck they're doing for all that time, that's a good sign that you don't have the right systems in place.
Wow. Okay. So again, we got people, sales, systems.
And willingness to fail forward. That is the absolute key to all of this. Because if you're not willing to take chances as an entrepreneur, you should probably go back to working for somebody else. You can earn probably the same money that you're making, maybe a little bit less, have a lot less headaches. You don't have to deal with running a company. But you have to be willing to take chances in your role as an entrepreneur. That's the key to the entire existence of the company. If you're playing it so conservatively that you're just talking yourself out of each opportunity, then the company is never going to be able to become scalable and really grow to its potential.
Wow. So here's my comment, and help me out with this. Sounds overwhelming.
I guess it depends who you are, but yeah, it's certainly running a company is an overwhelming experience. Yes, that is a great truth. Mm-hmm. Learning to scale is an important and key component to get out of just a guy who owns a company that has some employees. Scaling it up requires just jumping into the deep end, even though you may never have done it before and you don't know how to swim that well.
Wow.
But setting up a good system where you have trusted advisors, people outside of the company and experts in their particular discipline who can help you, that's the key to staying afloat. So you have some lifeguards on the side of the pool, if you will.
So what's the first step? You have this business owner, they have about let's say 15, 20 employees, thinking about the bigger numbers, thinking about scaling up, as it were. And then they get this education from this interview, which is that they have to have 4 things really under control in order to scale up. Like these are things that have to be taken care of. So where do we start? Like what now?
You start where you can start with any one of them. I mean, you need to have the fail forward mentality. That's for sure. These are all constants. And I think that's one of the things that's just germane to running a business and being a business owner. You have to be able to do a lot of things at one time. There's no order, there's no excuses, and there's no safety net. So if that sounds scary and like something you would hate and something that would give you anxiety at night, owning a company may not be for you. But if that sounds exciting and like something that would be energizing and would make you excited to get up in the morning, then that's the sign of somebody who should be an entrepreneur.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, what would you like to share in closing?
Anybody if you like this, if you got value from it, always appreciate if you'd share it with somebody you know. If you want to reach me, it's eric@biggercupconsulting.com. You can go to my website. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'd always welcome a call.
Fantastic. Eric, thank you for coming on. And it was
all right. Thank you.